Ready when you are.
Okay, we'll call the Wednesday, October 29th Public Works meeting to order. To start with this agenda, we will first discuss the holiday meeting schedule. Mr. Blommer is walking away. Meeting will be adjourned. All good. So the holiday meeting schedule, Tom.
You'll see under the FYI, we're planning to move what would have been the normal November meeting at the end of the month to December 3rd. That was to allow for some scheduling issues that Dave had, and we also are planning on canceling the meeting at the end of December, mostly because it falls during the holidays and it's hard to get everybody's schedule to work for that. So our next regular meeting after this one would be January 28th, 2026. Anybody have any questions or regarding that schedule? Does that work? Sure. One more thing to make note of there. We are planning on having a public information meeting for this 26 road bond after the December 3rd Public Works meeting here at 6 o'clock. And so what we're looking to do with that is we'll have it kind of as a kind of an open thing with the maps out on the tables, kind of like MnDOT had done for 371.
Right.
That way give people opportunity to look at it, make comments, and gather their feedback. So,
Okay.
that should be the schedule.
I'll do what I can to try to attend it.
I'm sorry.
I said I'll do what I can to try to attend it.
Okay.
It'll be a few weeks after the birth of our child, so
Yeah.
depending on how many parents and in-laws we got floating around.
If you can slide in for even just a little while, that's
Yeah.
fine too.
Yep.
We'll make do.
Do what I can.
All right.
Okay. Next agenda item will be lift station number 1 rebuild for the 2026 slate of projects. Tom, looks like we have.
We have 2 proposals to go through. So I have them listed as Bolton, Mink, and Widseth. I think I would ask, do either of you want the other firm to step out while you go through your proposal? If you do, I'll just take you in turn if that works.
Tom's question was, would either of you 2 firms, representative of WSN and Bolton Mink, are you comfortable being in the room at the same time while the proposals are being read aloud by each other's?
Okay. Okay. All right. I just wanted to accommodate if need be. With that, I guess it would be just you guys, if you would like to go first.
Yeah, we're like to stand.
You can either do the podium or the table, whichever
If you want to
works.
sit, you can sit.
I can stand. I like standing. So committee, staff, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight to present our proposal for lift station number 1 rebuild and design. We really appreciate the opportunity again to discuss this with you. Hopefully you have the chance to kind of go through and read our proposal. I'm going to try to keep this brief. I can talk a lot, so if you have any questions, feel free to stop me on anything. Just a little bit about who we are. I'm Morgan Salo. I am a principal project manager for our water wastewater group at Bolton and Mink. I office right down the road, right in Baxter. Grew up in the area, still live here with my family, my wife and my kids. And so our philosophy in engineering is really making this a transparent process where the owner's involved in the design. We want to make sure we can bring your vision, your thoughts and everything to reality and make you and we want you to have a system that's going to work for not just today, but 20 years, 30 years, 40 years down the road. That's our vision with engineering, and we really strive hard to do that. We're a multidisciplinary firm, water, wastewater, GIS, water resources, structural, architectural. We have a wide array of staff that help back us up. In engineering, right? And it's not just all engineers working out. We have a funding group that goes after funding opportunities for communities. We're always on the lookout for that kind of stuff. right? And so opportunities like this that come up, it's a great way to kind of build that relationship and kind of go through what funding opportunities are out there, because that's one of the easiest ways to do a project for a community to build infrastructure is, hey, let's go get some funding for this, right? And so that's kind of my role. What I do at Bolton Mink, I'm mainly a project manager, done a lot of design and water and wastewater infrastructure over the years. I've also brought with me tonight Brian Drown, one of our other senior project managers in our Baxter office, and I'll let him introduce himself.
So, yeah, Brian Drown, in our municipal division. So that's, your basic kind of streets, water, sewer. So we kind of work with the collection, distribution, and then when we get to lift stations and treatment plants, then kind of turn it over to Morgan's group and work with them. So my role on the lift station would be more of just the site design and kind of the things outside of the lift station itself.
Yep. And that's our philosophy is this team approach. It's not just one person you're working with every single step of the way. We like to say at Bolton Mink, we have one office with a long hallway and a lot of doors. There's 1,200 people behind me that if I don't know the answer, I can go ask somebody else and help solve that problem. That's my philosophy in engineering, and Bolton Mink, we're real people with real solutions. That's our motto. So a little bit about this lift station. Again, feel free to stop me if you have any questions about our proposal. Lift station design is one that we want to make sure it's that collaborative approach. Like with anything in engineering, especially in water, wastewater, we want to make sure that we have all the background information. And that involves looking at planning documents. That involves looking at different developments possibly within the city and asking questions about what does the city see in terms of projected growth? Where are we seeing growth? How are we going to incorporate this into our lift station that's going to be utilized for the next 20, 30 years at least? Right, moving forward. And that could take a bigger planning approach as well, and trying to understand the different complexities that come with lift station design. Because one, with lift stations, you got to make sure you can pump the water that you need today, but in 20 years, you got to pump that water too. And that could also be a phased approach with a lift station. That's part of what we analyze when we're looking at lift station design and the kind of the preliminary portion of that design. We got to do survey. Survey is always critical to get accurate surveys so we know what's going on. But then when we're looking at these plans of moving this project forward and actually going to build it, we want to make sure that we're accounting for, do you want a fence around the lift station? What kind of generator do you want? All these different details that start to come out. And that's our goal with our proposals. We want to work collectively with the city to bring this lift station to reality and make this functional long-term for you. Throughout that, in this proposal, it does not include construction phase services. That is a separate, it would be a separate proposal if this one were to be accepted, and we would scope that out under a separate scope. I did include some kind of typical construction type proposal stuff that would be included in there, kind of our standard basic stuff. And there is some more intricacies that get into that. We want to make sure that when we're building stuff, we're watching it. We're making sure it's getting built to the plans and specs, because we want to make sure your guys' goals and objectives are being achieved. And we want to make sure that it's being done in a timely manner and on budget. And that's some of the stuff that as a project manager, I look at that almost daily when we're doing projects, right? And lift stations, depending on the different infrastructure projects you're doing, it does vary a little bit at a time. You're building a big water plant. I mean, there's a lot more time and energy that goes into managing that than some of your smaller projects. Right, but it's still you still get the care and dedication out of every aspect of that project management. And so as we go through this, there's a lot of different things. Like I said, a lot of different key pieces that we want to make sure that we incorporate your design. If you want, hey, we want a really nice wooden fence around it, let's include that in there, and let's get an accurate cost model so we understand the implications of that. And then when you go through a project, our kind of big goal at the end is we want to make sure that let's say in 15 years, you have to go dig something up or maybe make a change, or there's a new street going through there. We want to have accurate as-builts. We want to make sure that we're going through and accurately documenting. That's why we have field staff on site when we're doing these lift station constructions, that we're documenting this stuff accurately. Because I've been there in those situations where I've gotten a plan set and I've done a rehab and I'm like, this is not shown the way it should be. This is not the way it is out there in the field. And what helps with that as we're working through design is our 3D modeling now. And so one of the steps that we take to help incorporate city vision, make sure we're minimizing these conflicts, because it's inevitable conflicts come up in projects where, hey, that pipe, we didn't see that on the old as-built. we want to make sure that we see this stuff and get a jump start on trying to make these coordination pieces work in the field when we're actually building it. And so Bolton Mink, we utilize Revit-based design, which is 3D software, and we actually can model it in 3 dimensions. We could put a surface profile in there. We can model the lift station. We can see the piping. I can spin it around 360. I can put the specific pumps. If you say, hey, Morgan, I want a specific pump, this brand, this model, I want this pump. I'll get that from the manufacturer, stick that in the model, and then we'll build the lift station around that. And then we'll be able to show you that in 3 dimensions, what that looks like. Stick a generator, control panel. You're like, we really don't like how that generator sits, with it over here. Maybe let's shift this over here. We can shift that generator over there. Our architecture group and building modeling group can render that in a little more fancy detail. Put trees and stuff like that in there too. So, one of the key pieces that we like to utilize when we're doing these projects, and it goes, lift stations, even the little grinder lift stations that some people put on their homes, these little E1 grinder stations, all the way up to, a $50 million wastewater plant. So it's kind of my spiel. I know I talked a lot. I apologize about that. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now on the proposal or about Bolton Mink or myself in general. But again, thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Are there any questions from anybody on the committee?
Yeah, I have one.
Yes.
Morgan, what is the basis of your fee that you came up with on your proposal? Construction cost, do you take a percentage of that? Is it based on your previous experience on similar projects or what?
So this one was based on the hours estimated to go into the design of the project for the scope that we identified. And that's based on similar relevant experience for similar size projects in similar communities. And so that's how this specific fee was derived. And I believe there was a table in there too showing the dedicated hours towards that.
Right.
And so this was an estimated or hourly not to exceed fee.
Is that how Bolton Mink typically structures their proposals? Or at least their fee structure on their
Yeah.
proposals?
Yes, there and some of our longstanding clients that we have a strong relationship with work on a lump sum basis, where it's a negotiated lump sum. But that's usually with a very well-defined scope where there's a lot of trust back and forth, trust that the city knows what they're going to pay, and then we know what we're expected to get paid.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Tom, anything from your perspective? No? Mr. Ballmer, anything on your end?
I've met with these 2 gentlemen and I think I understand what they're offering and feel comfortable with what they've offered. So.
Okay. You mentioned 3D renderings.
Yes.
Do you happen to have that here? Or have you at least seen it yourself, Tom?
They have.
I'm curious to see it. I geek out on stuff.
I can, yeah, my password didn't work, but I can log in too if you would like at some point and show you kind of what that modeling looks like. I have a whole host of projects across the state actually that's how we model all our projects now is in 3 dimensions. It's using Revit software through BIM, which is an Autodesk platform.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, I put you right in.
Sure.
And, they were showing me one of the treatment plants that they've worked on. It's like you're walking right through it.
It's a video game. You can drop yourself in, walk around. I can measure things down to within about 1/8 of an inch accuracy.
We've been dabbling within our business as well, but it's not very exciting looking at a 1,000 acre solar farm because it's the same thing every day.
I've modeled solar farms and wastewater plants.
Yeah. Okay. If there's not any other questions for these 2 gentlemen regarding their proposal, we'll then move to the next item. Within item number 2, Woodseth proposal review. And thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, would you like me to begin?
Mr. Dave.
Okay, so you've had our proposal for enough time to review that in advance, I assume. Basically, it's very similar in scope of services being hourly estimated through design and bidding. The scope of services included surveying, getting accurate site information, preparing the design in collaboration with city staff on site. In fact, we have completed some of that work. We've done the site topo and we have completed the sketch and description for acquiring the parcel that would be needed. I think the last time that we spoke with this group, we were still debating a bit about whether the old lift station should be rehabbed or if a new lift station was truly needed. I think we've gone beyond that to realizing that a new lift station would provide, you know, the best flexibility for the city to get this constructed with the least amount of risk and transition from the old lift station to activating the new lift station. So I think that is in the best interest of the city going forward the next 20, 30 years. The main reason, a lot of the reason for this project is looking at, you know, the things that are not working so well with the existing lift station. It's cycling way more than it should. The capacity of it needs to be enlarged. And so that's what we proposed after a lot of study leading up to this point, including doing a study of lift station 12 to the south on 371, looking at the big picture of how that would all work into a future wastewater collection system and going to your wastewater treatment facility. So I think from that standpoint, you know, we have a pretty good handle on the city's needs and looking into the future. Our cost fee is hourly estimated. It's actually not to exceed. It's very similar to what has been presented by Bolton and Mink. Although we have completed some of that legwork already. So, you know, I don't know how you're going to compare numbers exactly. They're not quite the same. So, if 3D modeling of the lift station is desired, that's fully within our capability as well. We do that all the time with BIM, with building in our architectural and also our civil CAD 3D capabilities. So we're quite capable of doing that too, providing good record drawings for the city in the construction phase and after construction is completed. So I think, you know, the only thing I can say is, you know, very comparable in scope, very comparable in price. If you try to meld that together and decipher what's been done already versus what hasn't, you could try to take a look at that a little deeper if you wanted to. Other than that, we have quite a lot of history with the city and knowledge of how all this fits together. So I think that's something that should be considered by the city.
Thank you. Tom, in regards to what Dave is referencing to in regards to the legwork that's been done already, what would that be from your perspective? Just curiosity.
So I think largely what we've had done up to this point is they've identified where the new lift station likely sit. And we have given that information to the city attorney to begin purchasing property for a location for the new lift station to be built. So that's kind of settled where that would be.
And that information then would have been compiled to be able to go obtain this quote from Bolton Menk, or Bolton Menk provided this proposal based off of the same information prior to them going out
They
sourcing that
both
land?
had largely the same information. Bolton Mink knows where the lift station would be constructed. They haven't been given any survey data so much, but just to know that there's a location, this is what we need for a lift station. This is the existing piping and structure that's there. And with that, they came up with a proposal And then shortly after, Widseth came up with a proposal, and those are what you see before you.
Tom,
Yes.
this is a good example of where a simple feasibility study done prior to this would have been, been handy for everybody. You have to come up with those figures somewhere along the line, either in a feasibility study or when you do the design. And if you did a little study, then everybody would be working with the same parameters, design, flows, so on and so forth. And that's where something like that is really handy. And you really aren't paying for anything twice, because the figures that come up in a feasibility study also are used, or you have to come up with them when you do the design. So it's just an example of where that's handy.
Is there any questions from the committee for the Woodstock proposal?
Good question. Mr. Reese had talked about some of the work in this.
Can you hit your mic by chance? Oh, good.
Mr. Reese had mentioned that some of the work in this proposal had already been done. So we can make an accurate comparison for this particular project. Can you estimate how that would affect this work that's already been done, how that would affect the fee that's indicated in the proposal?
Dave can correct me if I'm wrong about his fee, but I would imagine that, some of the work that he's already completed for, if we were to say, choose to utilize Bolton and Mink to actually build the lift station, we would be billed separately for the work that he's already done in locating the spot that this thing would sit. And that, if we were to go forward with Widseth, the work he's already done is already, if I understand it correctly, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, would be in this proposal.
And then I guess,
That's clear. Is it clear to everybody what's been done?
It is to me.
Yeah.
yeah, okay. How about this issue of that was mentioned in the Bolton and Mink about the permanent backup power for the lift station? Is that something that's?
Yeah, our proposal includes doing, designing a natural gas backup generator that would be a fixed base backup generator, not a mobile, so that's included. Security fence, security lighting. All the things that we've talked about in the past with Tom and with the Public Works Committee. I think that's all public record.
Have we used Bolton and Mink for any projects in the past? Or-
We have not, I haven't used them while I've worked for the city of Nisswa.
Okay, so you don't have any.
Well, I can correct that. So, the city itself hasn't used them. If you recall, the plans that you may have seen for 371,
That was.
that was,
Bolton and Mink.
they were in partnership with
Right.
NDOT on
Yeah.
that.
Deal?
Does Bolton, do you have any similar installations in this area or general part of Minnesota?
Yes, there are quite a few. I can give examples if you would like. Pine River has, we're working on one Pine River right now, actually, or the facility planning stage of that. You want me to go up there?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind.
All right, so question for me was if we have any similar lift stations in the area, and the answer is yes, we do. We've been doing lift stations in Staples, Wadena. Pine River, I'm working on a facility plan for a main lift station right now, a main lift station improvement along with larger wastewater improvements there. Couple lift stations in Baxter over the previous years. Our team has worked on a few of those lift stations, but we do quite a few lift stations across the state of Minnesota.
Similar?
Similar size, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, like I said, ranging from small little grinder stations up to the biggest one I did was in Albertville, is a triplex station that does Valley Queen, South Dakota, that does 3,000 gallons a minute. So that whole range in between. and quite a few of the similar size of what's proposed here, pending final flow determination.
Any other questions from the committee for the WSN proposal?
No.
Okay,
I could just say, we've done similar size lift stations for country communities like Nisswa. Main lift stations like this are not uncommon for our firm at all. We do have a laundry list of lift stations that we've designed and rehabbed over the last 30 years, 30 to 40 years in Baxter. And probably the biggest one was up in East Grand Forks and Force Main under the Red River there. And also BEU's project that we're currently working on. Looking at replacing their main lift station for the city of Brainerd that will send that wastewater over to the Baxter wastewater plant.
Hmm.
So,
Well, those type of things are a much larger
much larger.
pumping station. You're not talking about, the same type.
Baxters are about, there's a lot of that size that are similar to what we're looking at here in this one.
Tom,
Yes.
any feedback on the WSN proposal? Or questions?
I don't. I think both firms are quality firms. I think both firms have given us a fair proposal. They're very comparable. Morgan approached me asked if we were interested in getting a quote for the project. And I said, sure. Some of that was in reaction to this committee and some on the city council asking me to get other opinions for engineering. And so I thought, oh, this would be a good project to get that. And so that's why you have two proposals in front of you. So I would say you would have to weigh if you want to stick with with Widseth, we've been using for a very long time, and examples of their work, or do you want to try something different with a different firm? So I don't know if
Is there any
that doesn't give you a
formal,
lot of
is there any
specific
formal
work on-
recommendation from you?
What's that?
Is there any formal recommendation from you?
No, I really would rather not render an
Understood.
opinion on it, because like I said, I think they're both quality firms. I think they both would do a fine job with this project. Widseth and Dave have been a city engineer for a very long time. I think we've kind of settled that recently for the time being, but that's up to this group. Which would you rather go with? I think there's a moderate price difference between the two quotes. I think they're both not to exceed, so it's really a matter of where your comfort level is, I think.
You want my opinion? Well, I think, I know both of the firms are qualified. Excuse me. I've gone through the proposals and they're very similar as far as scope and so on. I just think this is a good opportunity for the city to obtain some fresh engineering design and ideas. Being Bolton and Mink do have the lower price. They're very similar, but it's a little lower. I feel that I would recommend that the council go with them.
Okay, is that a motion?
I can make one.
Okay,
Okay, I make a motion that we recommend to the city council that they accept the proposal of Bolton and Mink to design and supervise the construction of a new lift station number 1.
do I have a second?
You can ask for any discussion?
After a second. You can make a second.
Second.
Okay, open for discussion.
I guess, like Dill, I've looked at these, I'm familiar with engineering proposals and for this type of work. And typically I would be looking at the Public Works for a recommendation, but I understand, Tom, both of these firms, based on the quality of the proposals are more than equipped to handle this project. Everything else being equal, I guess my thought would be to go with the Bolton and Mink proposal based on the cost. And I think it's time to, I would just look at this as a project. This is a project. We're not ending a relationship with Whitseth Engineering. This is a standalone project, and I think it's a good opportunity, like Mr. Stackhour mentioned, to maybe get another look at what we're doing in our wastewater treatment handling.
Any feedback?
I guess, that really is probably the one thing you can look at with these two proposals is the cost. I think it never hurts to get a fresh perspective. Like you said, Tom, it doesn't end our relationship with Whitseth. It's just a project to see if we'd like to go in a different direction long-term. This would give us an idea to see some other examples of work that can be done. I'm fine with it either way. I would trust Whitseth just as much. This lift station would be a sister station to lift station 3 that we rebuilt a couple of years ago. Very similar. And a lot of the parameters that I had given both firms for building this one came from what we did with lift station 3. So I think we know what we're expecting and we're comfortable with what's being offered either way.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Without further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, third item on the agenda is the 2026 road bond update and plan review. Mr. Tom.
Just a quick follow-up with this. So what'll happen is this recommendation will be brought to the next city council meeting in November for final approval. So if you would like to be there, Morgan, you're more than welcome. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. 2026 road bond.
Yes, sir.
So you have a preliminary plan set. I apologize. It was kind of a big file. I couldn't just print it out for everyone. I have a set of.
We're conserving paper around here now?
We brought copies if you'd like.
What's that?
We brought copies.
Oh, excellent. I tried to print out a couple big copies. Electronics hasn't been my friend this afternoon.
We have to give these back.
They're preliminary, so you can keep them.
Maybe anybody else need? You guys like? Do you want to go ahead and go through this, Dave?
Sure. I don't know if you want to call this an official page turn or not, but essentially we're going through the streets that are slated for construction next summer. The public informational meeting would be held, as Tom had discussed, December 3rd at 6 p.m. So essentially we'll be going through these plans and have them available for everyone to take a look at and discuss, ask questions and so forth. Probably the main things to go through would be, taking a look at the widths, streets. We've got our cross sections in there for the scope of the improvements, It's vary a little bit, with ditching, in different situations. In Lake Country, the, you know, sometimes the urban style doesn't fit the bill necessarily, and you have to have some flexibility in your design. So I think these reflect all that coming through rural design with ditches, and urban design with curb and gutter where it's needed. And that's gonna vary throughout. Kind of the, one important thing that just to take a look at and understand is the design section for most of these streets. We're looking at, yeah, reclaiming the existing pavements, prepping that subgrade, checking for the subgrade issues along the construction route, fixing those as they may appear, when you open that up. Adding, virgin aggregate base, 6-inch, base, which, in most cases in Nisswa, this is going to be adequate, given the types of soils that you generally see in this area, that being a granular, well-drained, subgrade for the most part. We know there's some areas out there that catch us every once in a while. You might run into some silts, clays, in certain locations, but,
Typically sand.
generally sand. And so, you know, with a 6-inch, aggregate base and then a 2-inch bit base and an 1.5-inch wear course, total 3.5. That's, a really good design section that covers a lot of, I'll say, different site conditions in this area. It may be more than is needed in some areas, but,
Can you speak to tonnage at all, Dave?
pardon me?
Can you speak to tonnage or carrying capability for what we're doing? You know, what it would,
Road tonnage.
what would be the
Road
spring-
tonnage?
Spring,
Yeah,
Wait.
so road tonnage is typically determined knowing, you know, what the subgrade factor is, the soil factor. And then you can design to a specific target design, 7-ton, 9-ton, 10-ton. Usually, you know, when we're looking at 6-inch and 3.5, that's, you get 2.25 equivalent, equivalents for every inch of bit, and then aggregate base is 1. So, doing some quick math here, 3.5.
sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah, you're gonna be getting upwards of 14, 15, 16 gravel equivalents. And, you know, we can go back to the charts. If you're looking at sand and well-drained sands, that's gonna be, adequate for getting in at least a 7-ton road, if not 9 in a lot of instances.
Yeah, so for reference, most of the Nisswa city streets are signed at 5 tons in the spring. And they're probably on the weekend that, I would say, in some cases. For instance, roads that we have just milled and overlaid in Grandview, where we're putting back 3 inches of asphalt, we're finding 1.5 inches at best. So we've found that over and over again on different streets in town. So that is one thing that we're looking to improve. If any of you are around and recall, for instance, when we resurfaced Hazelwood, there was a great interest in increasing the tonnage there for some of the commercial traffic that we have. So this would, I think we'd be signing these at least 7 tons and maybe 9, depending on which roads we're looking at.
Yeah. So I think this is a good recommendation for the design section for these roads. Most of them are residential in nature, the commercial ones. If they need something extra, we can take a look at that, but we usually incorporate the reclaimed bit into the base, and that adds to the total, when you look at that. So it really helps harden up the subgrade and get it set for the future. And 3.5 inches, gives you the option where you've got curb and gutter to go do and mill and inlay in the future. So you know you actually have 3.5. You can go in and do a 1 inch or 1.5 inch mill and replace that surfacing in the future. So I think that's the way to go with that. Okay. Any questions on some of the basics of the cross-section designs? Design section.
I don't think so.
The rest of the sheets going forward are plan profile sheets. So the top is the plan view, starting with East Roy Lake Road. And essentially the scope of these projects is to reconstruct the roads within their existing road footprint or base with not huge amount of alignment change. Some of these roads have decent right-of-way established, some do not. We've had the discussion about acquiring right-of-way extensively, and I think that's come full circle to just acquiring easements where they're needed because of cost, right? So,
Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
okay,
I don't think there's appetite by the council to try to go down the easement route, specifically referencing, say, some of these Gull Lake chain properties. The price is going to be, I don't want to say astronomical, but probably relatively close to that. I'm just trying to be considerate in regards to these total dollar cost for these two packages. It will be, I mean, just go ahead and take the consideration, Polk, government, and whole in the day drive. Substantial,
yeah, for the
based on the
estimated
property
cost of some
valuation,
of the
right, of those homes.
estimated cost of some of the estimates, you could probably reconstruct a couple other roads. So
Correct. Yeah,
that's where.
hence the prescriptive service.
The nice thing to note is on most of these, we did preserve, that we did pick up some of the right of way where it was most needed. So some of the more lower traffic cul-de-sacs and things, we left that as prescriptive largely.
Yeah.
But if you look at, say, like this East Troy Lake Road, near the, see what inside of that would be, it would be the west end of it. You'll notice that we're modifying the curve going through there. So there's some improvement in here too. It's not just all put it back as it is.
Right.
What is going back is a much higher quality, I think. We're dealing with a lot of drainage issues, even though we're not picking up a lot of right of way in most cases. I think when this is all done, people should be impressed.
So you can go through the pages here. I don't necessarily intend to speak on each page. I don't think we intended to do that, but it gives you an idea of where the pavement is being replaced, some of the intersection improvements, design with adjoining roads and driveways and so forth. Right, so the geometry on those is something that we may change a bit where we can improve that just to, square up some of the streets where they need to be.
Dave, can I stop you for just a quick second? So what you see here, we have to get the input now, in December from the citizens. This is what you would consider a 30% plan?
Yeah, this is actually more than 30%, but yes.
Okay.
Looks like 60 to me.
Pardon me?
It looks like 60% to me.
Yeah, we're,
I mean, how far off are you even
we're
from
pretty far
IFC?
along, short of taking, another round of quantity takeoffs and preparing another cost estimate in advance of that December meeting. I think we're probably 80–90% done.
Hmm. I don't have any, do we have any questions from the committee?
No, so this will go to the city council now?
Well, it's gonna go to public information
Right.
meeting. There
That would be
really
the next
isn't
step.
any action for the city council up until then, so.
Following the public hearing.
Following the public hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so what do we have to do? Just accept it?
I
Page
think,
turn it at home,
Yeah.
any,
Something
that's your
jump
homework.
out at you, Let us know.
Yeah,
Make sure.
Streets, right?
yeah. Road trip. I have neither.
yeah, and if looking at this at all, if you guys do see something that you think should be addressed that isn't, stop in, and if need be, I'll get a hold of Dave, and we can go out and drive any part of this that you want to see and have explained further.
Pardon me?
I say it looks ready.
Ready to bid?
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Okay. Well, appreciate that, Dave. Unless there's any other questions on the topic, we will then move for adjournment. Unless there's anything else on your end.
This should be a short and sweet meeting.
Okay, well, we will see you all on December 3rd at 5 PM. And then after that, we will then continue to the public information meeting. Dave?
One last thing, thank you for bringing that up because that is a question that the city's going to have to think about. So one of the prime paving contractors locally, Anderson Brothers, is on now off the suspension onto the debarment list or fully on the debarment. Yeah, is that right, Brian? Is that your understanding? Yeah.
Wait,
So
say that one more time. I didn't hear it fully.
Anderson Brothers, I believe, was on the suspension list considering for debarment and maybe fully debarred now. And so, anytime a public entity like the city municipality lets a project for bids, you have to have them sign a responsible contractor form. In that particular form, it's stated that the city will not contract with a prime or a subcontractor that is on any suspension or debarment list,
Is that state or is that federal?
both.
Is that for a period of time?
That's.
Last I saw,
really
it said
say.
indefinite. That's what I saw.
And I just bring that up because, I think there's a lot of people that may still want to allow them to bid projects, but it's probably getting into more of the legal arena, and it's something that you should probably have your city attorney take a deeper dive into and give a recommendation on how to proceed.
One thing I've been meaning to ask is there any type of warranty that we would be able to seek or that has been seeked in the past for these road construction projects? Is there a 1 or a 2 year warranty?
It's 1 year.
1 year, and then after that, nothing.
Yeah, and that's for major failures, of the system.
Right.
Something major,
No,
not
like
minor
faulty
details.
test reports?
Well, warranty of talking about the construction.
Hmm.
Okay.
Right, yeah. was the last project we had Anderson Brothers do?
Lately, we've had them do some patching work, like, so if you come up past, say, up here on to Main Street, like by Dairy Queen,
Yep.
coming from the roundabout, you'll notice there's some patch work there that was done by Anderson's.
Are you comfortable or tranche of contractors that's capable of completing this work?
We have seen some other contractors step up and come into this area and bid projects that typically don't. You know, we did projects in Lake Shore this past summer with Ideal Construction, who hasn't had a certified plant in the past and couldn't meet the spec necessarily, but now they do, and they did a nice job on the street improvements in Lake Shore last summer. There's also some coming down from farther north, the Bemidji area, that are starting to bid projects.
Strata, Knife River.
Knife River is the most local then. Yeah.
So does this suspension hold true for all projects or just a certain dollar value?
There's some, I'll just say, interesting language in how that's all written. And there was something about a $30,000 or $35,000 maximum on allowing a local that's on a suspension or debarment list to do some work. And these days, that's a driveway.
Yeah.
You know.
Nothing.
It's not even a driveway. That's the mob fee to do the driveway. What's, if you had a guess, and this is irrelevant, but relevant to the conversation. What's the percentage of the local muni work that Anderson Brothers did that constituted their whole business? Was it 75% of their?
They competed heavily with Knife River, you know, formerly Tri-City. And, you know, so I would say they probably did more than 50% of it, in my guess, my estimation.
Yikes. Okay. Well, with that, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
We'll move.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, John.
Thank you all.
That's good. Jack.